Hey, what is up guys? I'm Exteria, and this is the uncontested, powerful comp that you can play, Twitch. In this video, we're gonna go over the many different ways you can play Twitch, and have somewhat of a concept that you can play other carries alongside them. But in order to understand how to play the other units, we have to understand how to build Twitch. And Twitch, his core item is to have a Ginsu's Rage Blade. If you don't have this item, he's not gonna be strong enough. The rest of the items you can build on him could be whatever, but what I like to do for Bis is Red Buff, because this allows you to have anti-heal, and it bumps up his damage a lot. And then Infinity Edge, because his ability is AoE, so if one crits, the whole bullet crits all the way. It is easier to build than Deathblade. That's the reason why I prefer Infinity Edge, because it's just quicker to build right away instead of getting two swords and just wait for it and build Deathblade. But in the end, you can build whatever you want essentially on Twitch as long as you have Ginsu's Rage Blade. And then the best artifact you could put on him is Collector, because this item would amp his damage and you also get an execution with some gold. The other two artifact items are okay on him. The main tank you want to play is Dr. Mundo, and almost like 100% of the time you play Twitch with Mundo because they really synergize really well together. And his best in slot could be whatever, but the main items you want to put on him is mostly health items and then some resistances. So you can put like both Warmongs and Redemption on him, and then plus a Gargoyle or even a Declaw depending on the lobby. Since we're mostly in the AP meta, Dragon's Claw is actually really powerful to nullify that AP since it gives you a lot of magic resist. Steadfast Heart is really powerful as well in the current meta, so this as Bis is not too bad. And the best artifact you could put on him would be like a Spirit because it gives you a lot of magic resist, since I said earlier, AP meta. And on top of that, you get health regen. And most of the time when you play Twitch comp, you play with Elise, and depending on what items you have is depending on how you want to play her. I would say at least like 75% of the time you want to play her as a frontline tank, and these items are actually really good on her if you have these items, like for example Crown Guard. You can put Crown Guard in Mundo as well if you want to, but if you already have maxed out Mundo items, Crown Guard is not too bad on Elise. And then, depending on the extra components, you might have a tier and cloak, so you can just make adaptive on her is fine. Or even a tier and chain vest to make protectors is fine on her. Good artifacts on her for frontline would be like Trench Cloak, because you have multiple Elises, so you can just keep stunning the board over and over. Or Horizon Focus, because you're stunning, this item allows you to do extra damage from the stun. And if you do decide to play her backline, for whatever reason, as long as you have Spirit Soulgen and whatever AP items, it's fine. The best emblems to play this comp would be to have Bruiser, and in order to build it, you need a pan and a belt. If you don't have a pan, you have a spat, you can reforge it into it, so you can make a pan and then just make the Bruiser emblem. If you have it as an augment, always click on it, because Bruiser Twitch is probably like the highest win rate version of Twitch. But if you do decide to play for Experiment, it's kind of the same thing with the component, which is belt, but instead of pan, it's a spat. Sorry for sounding bad for the first 2 minutes of the video. Didn't realize my equalizer was different, so I had to change the settings to sound like this. And for our units, the best openers to have Maddie as our Twitch item holder, Steb as our tank item holder, or even Trundle, depending which one you get level 2, plus 1 sniper, or whatever strong units you can find. And then over time, you just add bruisers, or whatever strong front lines that you can have, so you can stay healthy throughout the game, hit level 8, and you can play Twitch. The first variation of Twitch is Experiment, where you have all the Experiment units with Elise, Vi, and Maddie. If you find a Caitlyn, you can switch Maddie into Caitlyn because it's better units, and then when you hit level 9, you can throw out either a Jace or a Mordekaiser. Either one is fine. For the Bruiser style, and this is the best version of playing Twitch, which is you put the emblem on Mundo, because it will make him do more damage and make him more tankier. You use all the Bruiser units, and instead of using Trundle, you can use Stem because you only need 6 bruisers. Same thing with the Maddie thing. Trade out Maddie for Caitlyn for better unit, and since Mundo's a bruiser, he's gonna be your secondary carry technically. Having a Mordekaiser is actually really strong. It makes Mundo even stronger. And then this variation is very situational. It's unless you have a Fawn, or if you have a Black Rose emblem for whatever reason. You can play with Twitch, Mundo, Nunu, and then if you have a Fawn, then you can use all the Black Rose units, or if not, you can put the emblem on Nunu and just take out Morgana for LeBlanc for better unit later down the line, and then add Sniper at level 9, so Sniper is not too useful for Twitch, to be honest. And the reason why you're not using Sniper at level 8 because you use Garen instead. The best first item slimes you can build for this comp would be obviously Ginsu's Rage Blade, since it's Twitch's core item. If not, if you get swords, you can build like IE or Deathblade. No need to build Giant Slayer as first item because it doesn't really do anything in the early game. It's more of a late game item. Or you can slam like any take items. The best one to slam would be like Warmongs or even Sunfire, but if you want to build any of the other ones, it's fine as well. Now for a team better segment, so you can have a better visual of like how everything would look like. For our opener, the best ones to have a Maddie with our Twitch item holder. Ginsu's Rage Blade is the best one to use. And the other units is to have a Zeri, so you can have Sniper in. And since Maddie's an Enforcer, you want to use Steb. And since Steb is a Bruiser, you want another Bruiser, which is Trundle. If you have these 3 units level 2 somehow, Maddie, Trundle, or Steb, or even 2 of them, you'll be win streaking really hard if you have a Ginsu's Rage Blade. Ginsu's Rage Blade Maddie will just empower her damage even higher, so you can like win streak really hard in the beginning, and then you just put tank items on Steb most of the time. Unless you have a level 2 Trundle first, then you can put tank item on him first. And then over time, you just add more Bruisers like Zet, Nunu, and then Rennie. So you have 5 bruisers. So over time you get stronger with this. But this is like the easy like version of playing it. The other opener you can do, which is what I like to do most of the time because you gain extra income, and that is to play with Draven. And Draven is the Twitch item holder, and you have Darius because you get Conquer, and Darius can be the tank item holder. So you put like Mundo items on Darius, and then over time you add washer units such as a Mumu because a Mumu is a very powerful tank as well. If you have a Mumu 2 first, you can put tank items on him as well. It's just depending which one you have level 2 first. And then you just throw in a pit fighter, for example, like Violet, so you can have a strong damage for your Draven. Over time, you want to find either bruisers or more watchers. And then over time, you just add more tank units as you can, or you can find more pit fighters. Like for example, most of the time you might find a Urgot, so you could just trade out Urgot for Violet if she's not level 2. If she's level 2, just keep her in. And then you can maybe find a GP, and then you just build off of this. And then when you hit level 7, you probably might find a Nunu or something like that for whatever reason. Then you just transition into the Twitch board at level 8. This version is actually a lot better for experiments. The one I showed earlier is meant for like Bruiser style, but both is good either way for whatever one you want to play. So to transition from here to playing the experiment version would be to have Urgot, Nunu, and since Draven was a Twitch item holder, you want to put the Twitch in. When you hit level 8, you roll down for your board. Then you might find a Mundo, hopefully, transfer the tank items to him, and get an Elise in, take out Darius for Elise. Most of the time, we cannot find a Caitlyn, so you might get a Maddie instead, since she is the one-cost version of Caitlyn, technically. And then instead of Violet, hopefully you can find a Zyra, so you can have 5 experiments, 2 Bruiser, 2 Form Swapper with GP, and then you have 2 Sniper. And you also get 2 Pit Fighter, because, you know, Urgot GP. If you get a Last Whisper, then you could put it on GP instead. Side note, if you cannot hit a Twitch 2 and you need the DPS, you can also get a Corki 2 instead over the Maddie. So you can also get Artillerist in. You also get Scrap in with GP. So you just transfer the Last Whisper to Corki instead. Whatever sword items you have, like for example, maybe you have that IE on Twitch. Just transfer it over to Corki first so you can start win streaking, hit 9, and play your board. Most of the time, you don't need to do that unless you really have to. So we could just play the regular default board here. I did show that you can play Vi if you want to, but I would say play Vi unless you get a Caitlyn over the Maddie. So you can take these 2 out, and then you have Vi and Caitlyn instead. You still get the same synergies, but the only difference is you don't get Form Swapper for Elise to make her tankier. So you can play either Vi, Caitlyn, or you can play GP as either the backline or frontline, depending on what you need more. So either version is fine. And then when you hit level 9, you can throw out either Mordekaiser for the Dominator with Mundo, or you can play Jace to get Form Swapper. You also get the Crystal, so you have extra frontline. And then depending what you need, either extra backline, extra frontline, you can play Jace either one or the other, because you get Form Swapper with Elise. And then you can trade out GP for a Vi instead, since you get the Enforcer and you get the Pit Fighter with Vi. Essentially, it's just the main core units is Twitch, Nunu, Urgot, Mundo, Zyra, and Elise, and you can flex around the other 3 with whatever you can find. Like for example, you can throw in, instead of Jace, you can throw in Malzahar instead if you want extra DPS. Or instead of Vi, you might hit a Savika too, and stuff like that. You can just flex around these units. It's pretty simple. As long as you have those core units that I listed earlier, you can just play whatever you want after that. To play the Bruiser style is fixed units, technically saying you have to play these users no matter what that I'm going to show here. And essentially is if you get a Bruiser emblem, you put it on Mundo, this will make him super strong. And you just take out Malzahar for this level 8 board. So instead of Urgot, we have another Bruiser unit like Seth. Instead of Savika, another Bruiser unit like Stab. And then instead of Zyra, we get another Bruiser unit such as Rennie, if I can find her. There you go, Rennie. And it's pretty simple. It's just straightforward. 6 Bruiser with 2 Sniper on Twitch and Caitlyn. Caitlyn also gets Enforcer with Stab. Kind of reason why I said Stab over Trundle. And then when you hit level 9, you just throw in a Mordekaiser so you can get that extra synergy, which is Dominator with Mundo. If you can't find Mordekaiser, you could probably do a Silco 2 in the back line. That is okay as well. And that's basically about it. Pretty simple. You always gotta use these units like almost 95% of the time, unless you get extra emblems or Fawn, then you can switch it up. For the Black Rose version, you're gonna need either a Fawn or an emblem. I would say it's easier most of the time if you have a Fawn, because this augment that will be shown on screen here will allow you to get extra damage. It counts as technically an item and is good on Twitch as well, if you can't have an extra item on him, or you can just put on any of the Black Rose carry units. To play the board is we have units like Twitch, we keep him in, Mundo and Nunu, and most of the time Mundo would not have a Bruiser emblem here, and we also keep Elise. So the units we want to trade out is, because we're not going to be level 9 yet, we're going to take out Caitlyn. Instead of Silco, we have Morgana over him. Instead of Rennie, we have Cassiopeia, and then we get Dominator for Mundo and Cassiopeia. We also get our Black Rose because of Elise, Morgana, and Cassiopeia here, so we summon Sion. We use Vladimir over Set, and since Vladimir is a washer, we want to use Garen, and Garen is a very powerful unit. So say for example you have Garen 2 instead, then you can put take comps on him over the Mundo, and this will be play our board at level 8. By the time we hit level 9, then we throw in our sniper, but most of the time we're going to play 5 black rows. And then like I said earlier, in order to play that, we're going to need a Fawn in order to play it. So we can have a LeBlanc, or if we have Emblem instead, then we can just use that and just throw it on Nunu most of the time, and we just take out Morgana, and this will be the board instead. So in order to play the Black Rose version, you have to have either Emblem or a Fawn. There's no other way of doing this board, or else you cannot have Sniper at level 9 for Twitch. Even though Sniper is like kind of whatever for him, having that Sniper allows him to do that extra damage. Moving on to the Augments, and the one you want to click like immediately would be Bruiser Crest, because this allows you to play the strongest cat version of Twitch. Cooking Pot can also allow you to get Bruiser Twitch as well, so if you get one of these, you can play Bruiser Twitch and play the strongest version of him. All that Shimmers allows you to get that Collector, or if you want to, you can get Mogul's Mail instead, but I would say most of the time get Collector for that Twitch item, since it's very powerful on him. And since you're playing a lot of bronze traits, meaning like you have a lot of extra synergies on the side, bronze for life is very powerful in Twitch because it allows him to get more damage. Speaking of more damage, since you're not really moving Twitch most of the time, since you're playing Experiment, you're not really allowed to move your units too often. This allows Twitch to do extra damage if you leave him there for like 4 turns. And since you're going to be playing Bruiser Crest or like Cooking Pot to get the Bruiser Crest, then you can play Heavily Smash, which allows your Bruiser to do extra damage, so this augment is really good for Bruiser. And then earlier, like I said, if you want the Collector, all that Shimmers is more guaranteed, but you can also do it with Portable Forge, or you can get whatever artifact item that you can find that can power up your board. Mace as well is very good to get that Last Whisper, or even Steadfast Heart, also gives you extra stats for Twitch. Belt Overflow is very powerful for Mundo, because you can get 2 Warmongs, which is actually very powerful in Mundo, so you can do extra damage. Since your board is not too tanky with like resistances, immovable object will help that, and it's actually really strong for playing Bruiser, Twitch, or even Experiment Twitch is very strong on as well. Good combat augments for this board would be like Overheal, because this allows Twitch to heal a little bit in the back, and it allows Mundo to heal too in the front as well. And since you're playing with a lot of different items, Collector is really good to get extra stats. Piercing Lotus is always a good meta augment. The augment prior order is always Emblem first, if you can find it, which is like the Bruiser Crest, so you can get direction. If not, you can do like Econ as your first or second augment, or Item, one or the other. Most of the time is Econ, because you want to hit 8 as fast as you can. Item allows you to like win streak, so either or is good. And if you can't find any of these augments, you can do a combat augment, which is the ones listed down here. But if you don't know which combat augment to choose from, always just choose Item. You can never go wrong with it. The best anomalies you could choose between Twitch and Mundo, and I would say most of the time, Mundo will probably be the best one. But if you want to do for Twitch instead, Eagle Eye is his best, because this allows you to gain extra range and extra damage. Since Twitch is kind of lacking in damage, this anomaly will allow him to gain more, so he could one-shot the backline easily. Speaking of damage, freestyling is not too bad, since you're playing a lot of different traits, you get more damage amp. And Power Absorption allows you to gain more damage on Twitch. If more units die, he just steals the AD from them. For Mundo, which I would choose most of the time for anomalies, Slow Cooker is probably like the best one. Is his BIS for sure, because this will give him a lot of damage, since most of the time he will be lasting for maybe about like 10 seconds of the round. So during that time, he'll be doing a lot of damage with Slow Cooker. Unless you want extra tank, you can do Stone Skin. This gives him a lot of armor and magic resist, since he kind of lacks resistances. This anomaly would help him with that, so he doesn't die as easy. Or even Deep Roots is good for both combat and resistances, but the issue is he can't move. This makes up for it by having like a grab, so he would grab units towards him, and he would just be super tanky, just bashing them down. The anomaly that I have a theory for Twitch would be the Wolf Familiars. I think this might be good on Twitch. I've never done it yet. In theory, it just sounds good. If you do try it, just let me know in the comment section down below, so I can just keep abusing this if it is good. But for the most part, I have no idea if it's good. It's just a theory. And the playstyle we want to play for this comp would be high tempo to fast level 8. To do that is basically what I explained in every video. At stage 2-1, hit level 4. At stage 2-3, always make intervals of 10 gold, 10, 20, 30 gold, wherever you're at, just try to make that much. If you have more than around the intervals of 14 gold, 24 gold, 34 gold, just pre-level to 5, so it looks like 8 out of 10 XP, because when you come back from Carousel, you have a higher chance to maybe get a Twitch because of level 5 shop. If not, if you want to skip this part, you can hit level 5 at stage 2-4 instead. It's fine. At stage 2-6, always make intervals of 10 gold again, or at stage 2-5, either one, which is like 20, 30, 40 gold, wherever you're at. The reason why you want to do that is because you'll gain more econ in the long run, and you won't be too poor to roll for level 8. At stage 3-2, hit level 6, which is around the second augment area. At stage 3-7, or even earlier, you can hit level 7, so you can win streak even harder. At stage 4-2, hit level 8, and then roll for your board. You can do this at 4-1 as well, so you don't get contested, but it's up to you. Whichever stage you want to do it, 4-1, 4-2, either one's fine. And that is it on how to play Twitch, the most uncontested and yet powerful comp. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities and as fast as I can. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.